Brother Diary Room
every single season and learn everything that there is to know about everybody.
Please make your way to the diary
Celebrity! Brandon! Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of The Diary Room, where we are trying to find the best player in Big Brother history, and we are also trying to have the entire episode recorded with our guest in a way that all gets saved. Let's see if we can make that happen here today. Of course, I'm Matt here with Aman. Aman, how are you?
I'm excited to be back as always. So keep on whittling down this expansive group of human beings. What can I say?
That's certainly a way to put it. And we are here today with somebody that Aman is no stranger to podcasting with throughout many seasons of RuPaul's Drag Race that is currently out of season, but probably a couple of months away from its return. It is Liana. Liana, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Matt. I have been looking forward to this from the moment that Aman announced the idea. And this, I think, is my favorite thing. It combines Big Brother. It is ranking. We get to pick our favorites. There's so many good things. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the matchups. Yes. What will the wheel have for us today?
Now, will you be honest with us and tell us if was Puya disappointed after his? Because I don't think he got the most exciting group of players.
Well, I think he was surprised with that he got so many BB Can players, but no, I think he was excited. Look, he loves BB Can, for better or for worse. Like, that's his home, Canada. He considers Canada his home. So I think he was ultimately having a good time, but I am going to try to have more fun.
Right.
Yeah. So it's a competition. Okay. If we're matching us up, I'm going to try to have more fun.
No, that's quite the concept there. Doing this with our friends or something like that, but wouldn't be the craziest thing to happen this week, I guess. I don't know. So Liana,
yes.
One of the things that we do when we remember to do so is talk through the backstory, the Big Brother backstory of the person that we're speaking to. And a lot of people will know your backstory as far as it comes to podcasting about Big Brother, as the two of you, also before Drag Race was even a thing, come from this crazy little world of So You Think You Can Podcast that
it's coming up on 10 years.
Was born on Big Brother podcasting.
No. Aman, no.
It's crazy.
No.
Wait, is it coming up or is it now 10 years?
It's coming up on this 2025 will be year 9. So yeah, it's in a way, it's
no
like
way.
Wait, it was
2016.
Oh, it was 2020. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so we're getting there. We're like 2024 is basically over. Like we're getting there. Like it's been crazy.
Because OTT in my mind came up again recently because of recent current events that were taking place during OTT. So but in my head, I don't know why I thought that was a decade. That's crazy.
Yeah, 8 years. That's terrifying. That's absolutely terrifying. We were just little podcast babies, Aman.
I know.
It's so weird to think about. And because then oh my God. Yeah. Because then the Game Changers, like profiles and stuff was like the next.
You had Troyzan, didn't you?
No, thank God. No, I got Sari, but I did put Troyzan on my list. I said Troyzan would have been my third.
I was so confident. I had Sierra Easton.
Okay. Did you do one?
Week. Did I do one?
Did you do one?
Did you?
Maybe not.
It was probably somebody about Survivor One World.
I can't remember right
now.
I guess
would be Anyway. What an adventure that was 8 years ago, which is ridiculous. I started watching Big Brother. I was not a day oneer. My parents, we never really watched reality TV except for when I would sneak down and watch VH1. So those sort of traditional CBS reality shows, Amazing Race, Survivor, I didn't watch any of that growing up. So for me, I discovered it later in life. It was when I remember I was in the hospital. I had appendicitis. I was in the hospital And I remember I was over the summer because I was supposed to go to speech and debate nationals, but I got appendicitis and I couldn't go, and I was really sad. So they put the TV on for me, and they were like, okay, well, here, you can watch whatever you want. And there was this weird show called Big Brother on TV, and it immediately captivated me. Like I'm such a silly, goofy, weirdo kind of person. So the Big Brother weirdness doesn't scare me away at all. In fact, I love it. I embrace it, even though it is embarrassing to admit to friends and family that this is the show that you love and talk about. But yeah, from then on, I was always, sort of I would say more of a casual fan for sure. And then once I got into grad school, then I really started to go on Reddit. That's how I discovered RHAP. That's how I discovered that they were doing So You Think You Can podcast, and decided, hey, I think I could do this too. Let me throw my name in the hat. And then apparently 8 years ago, that's how, I was brought to the podcasting universe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a So You Think You Can, podcast person, but like I still want to be a part of whatever celebration happens in 2 years. Maybe I don't know, just take your pictures.
Oh
at
my
the,
God, we should totally do something. I didn't even think about it. I don't even know what we would do, but we should do something.
It is crazy.
It is crazy. We'll play a Big Brother LRG together and we'll film it.
Well, that happens like twice a year anyway. Oh, but LRG is live, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Not
yeah,
LRG.
we're gonna rent a house, and all the So You Think You Can podcast people are
God.
gonna go play. Melissa will bring her baby. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Like the adults in the room.
I would almost be willing to bet, 50%? No. 25% of the participants maybe don't watch Big Brother anymore, but that's just a guess.
Yeah. I don't think you're wrong on that.
No, and probably like 75% are wondering why they're still watching. But that's a lot of us. But no, of course we all love Big Brother. That's why we are here. So Aman, it has only been in real time a day that the most recent episode has been up, but last week's second matchup certainly has had its response. People having their opinions over the way that one went. Liana, I don't think you've gotten a chance to check it out yet. Can I tell you the matchup?
Of course.
So the second matchup of last week's, and again, apologies to all the listeners and Mari, especially for that footage getting lost. But the second matchup was former guest of the podcast, BB21, Jessica Milagros, was up against BB26, Tucker.
Ooh.
Now, what do you think happened, Liana? What do you think happened?
I'm trying to decide which one I think would incite more outrage. Like, would Jessica being... I mean, I assume you put through Jessica over Tucker? No. Vice versa? No. What did you do? Aman!
I love how she knows who it was.
Me?
Tell me
love
what
that.
you've done. Tell me what you've done. Explain yourself.
It was a legacy pick for me. I really just felt like Tucker. Yes, a bit of it was recency bias. I will claim it. I just really felt like Tucker just really brought something so nice and fresh to the game. And yes, we love Jess. I love Jess. She's amazing. Her HOH is still talked about to this very day. But I just felt like Tucker was the more exciting choice. Mm-hmm. So that's what I did. And I think I persuaded Mari in the process.
I tried.
Yeah,
I made my pitch. I tried to get the vote to Jessica. It didn't work. And this is, as I mentioned in last week's episode, coming from a guy who loves Tucker more than your average person, I think. But I couldn't vote him through. I couldn't do it. I'm trying to find this tweet that I saw earlier today of somebody who was just completely outraged at the result.
I just feel like, before you read that, I just feel like, and again, this is no shade to Jessica. I just feel like, yes, there is the HOH that was amazing for her, but I feel like leading up to that, like her game before that HOH, it wasn't exemplary enough for me to feel badly enough to not give Tucker that recency bias edge, if that makes sense. Like, I know that sounds kind of weird, but I don't know. I just feel like, again, I love Jess, but like, I just feel like, I mean, Tucker was like actively shaping BB26. Mm-hmm. Was it always in the best way? No. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that I can say the same about Jess's game, even though she had a very impactful HOH. And that's just kind of where I'm at with it.
The comment that I was looking for, it was from Dylan over on YouTube, who said, Jessica, I'm so sorry that they did that to you. This surpasses Mark over Yvette as the most egregious decision yet, I think.
I mean, look,
She's never
obviously,
gonna come back on the show.
I mean, I understand where the commenters and chatters are coming from. I think, again, it depends on the criteria, right? Because to someone who won AFP, does that immediately sort of shoot them to, does that count for anything? Does it shoot them to the top? I think there's a lot of factors to consider. So I can see your perspective.
Yeah. I also am able to see it
Yeah.
and voted the way that I did. Look, and I think that that's probably one of the most common criticisms that we get if and when that comes in of like, well, where are the goalposts? Is it about the legacy? And like understandable and fair. And like, we are a fan podcast subject to change how we vote. But look,
I feel bad.
It's vibes. It's vibes. Look, you gotta
vibes.
go. You gotta go with energy.
As everybody knows that listens to this podcast regularly, there's opportunities that people get voted back in. So our most recent person that got voted back in, we announced this over on Patreon a couple days ago. Janelle's back. So
boom.
There's that. Janelle's back. Maybe Jessica comes back too, and we'll see. But who's to say? Amon, you're right over there?
Yes.
You're recovering from your decision, the ramifications of your decision.
I had successfully gotten over it, and now it's just like reopening.
Well, I think we can certainly get into 6 new players here and determine what trouble we can get ourselves into today. Before we do, just a quick plug, just in case this app is still continuing to be a thing. We are on Blue Sky now. I think Liana, I think you have an account. I don't know if you're managing that account yet.
I did. Puya made me an account. So I made an egg as my profile picture. The old school Twitter eggs. I thought that would be a very fun callback. So eventually I'll actually update it and make a bio and all that fun stuff. But for now, I'm just a Twitter egg, but it is me.
Have you spent any time scrolling at all to see what's going on there?
I follow, I think, Puya and Mike Bloom because that's what he set up for me.
Your husband and your podcast husband. Yes.
Yes, exactly. So no, I have not used it thoroughly, but it does look just like Twitter.
Oh, it does.
It's such a throwback, and there's no ads. It's amazing. So
I know. I kind of forgot what it felt like to not have those anymore.
Right? So I have been despite not using it, I have been advocating for it and telling people, guys, we're on Blue Sky now. We're all doing Blue Sky now. So hopefully eventually, it'll happen.
The first couple of days of the jump, I just couldn't get over the fact that I'm like, what's with all of these extra characters behind our usernames? Like, why do we all have to say that?
Yeah.
But I got over it pretty quickly when I got there. Everybody was having fun. And like you said, no ads, no horrible people in every comment. I don't know. So I'm hoping by the time this episode comes out in a week and also going forward that we're able to take advantage of it. We also got the better handle. We're over on Twitter, Diary Room PCast. What the hell is that about? On Blue Sky at the Diary Room. Blue Sky, whatever.
Get into it. Check us out. Blue Sky.
Speaking of Blue Sky, I'm a blurry Blue Sky right now. But that's okay. I'll fix that. And that's the deal. So we're on Blue Sky. We're of course on Patreon. You know where to find us in all those places. But that's not here, and that's not now. Right now, we should get into this wheel.
Let's do it.
Are we ready to get into the next batch of 6 players? Who is going to possibly go through to the next round? Let's do it.
Yes.
First spin.
I get nervous each and every time. Oh my god.
Of the day.
I'm so nervous. I don't know why. It's moving so slow.
It is. Up first is going to be, oh my god.
Oh my god.
My face is blurred for this moment. At least you see him on.
No.
Hold on.
I bullshit you not. I eat every day that goes by that we record this damn show, we get closer and closer to pulling either Davon Rogers or Tyler Crispen, and I didn't say it, and I'm mad about not saying it now because this bitch just got pulled. I cannot.
You see me trying to be cute by moving things around, and I was trying to get him on full screen. Didn't work.
Eventually. It's Tyler Crispen time, baby.
Oh man, Liana, you are coming out the gate with this one. This is crazy.
So much to talk about with him. So much.
What a strong start here. Yeah, no, Amon's been waiting for this moment for a while. He obviously is a fan of Tyler's game and would probably like to see him go through, which probably makes the nerves
you are so shady. I know
even more high right now because who knows who Tyler is going to be up against, but you know, we'll see. Let's get the oops, I was sharing my screen the wrong way. Let's try to do this the right way and show you Tyler Crispen while Amon shares a little bit about Tyler's game from our friends over on the BB Wiki.
Early in BB20, Tyler became the ringleader of Level 6 and was able to use his strategic mind and social charm to earn trust and control evictions. He developed close friendships with Angela and Casey. He would have a running feud with Bailey and was close with JC and Sam. He formed final 2 deals with everyone in Level 6. He won 3 HOHs and 3 POVs. When Casey won the final HOH, she brought Tyler to the final 2. Despite his strong gameplay, Casey's dominance in the comps and some bitterness from the jury would win her the game by a 5-4 vote, leaving Tyler as runner-up. He won AFP on finale night, and BB22 Tyler found himself in a comfortable position in the dominant The Committee Alliance. In week 5, he wanted to be evicted due to feeling guilty over getting his allies Davon and Bailey nominated. But this plan was refused by outgoing HOH Christmas. In week 6, Danny, who learned from Bailey that Tyler threw her under the bus, nominated him as a target. Tyler was spared, but then successfully went after Danny. In week 9, however, he was nominated by Cody and evicted by a 3-0 vote, placing 6th. He was in the top 2 to win AFP once again, but lost to Davon.
There we go. Liana, to start things off, so BB20, I don't think any of us really need to, you know, we'll rehash a little bit, but I don't think we need to like go over, is Tyler good? And he's great. He plays an incredible game in that season. So I guess to kind of start, my first question to the panel, but I'll start with you. Do we hold BB22 against him when we saw how badly he did not want to be there at so many times? In general, BB22, is that like put his legacy down at all for you?
Okay, I have 2 thoughts in my head. I have the thought that I think I know I should say, and then I have my real thought. Okay, so I'm going to give you both. The thought I think I should say is, look, he was in a tough position, and I think it's important that you respect your mental health and you be honest about how you're feeling. But yes, I do hold it against him. I mean, look, I think BB22 in and of itself is just a chaotic mess, right? So like it's tough to think about BB22 with, because you know BB20 was like so good, and watching him play, apart from harping on that cloud power during his final speech, but everything else, it was like, wow, like this guy, I mean, he does play that sad puppy dog so well, and watching him play in BB20 was just amazing. And then to go to BB22, Oman, it was just like, oh, I don't know about this. Like it did drop off a little bit for me.
Yeah, BB22 was sort of like that the physical manifestation of that quote of like, don't meet your heroes, even though I've yet to meet Tyler nor Davon in person. I'm still waiting for that day. It's going to be a holy day, let me tell you. But yeah, I just feel like Tyler, I mean, like, exactly what Liana said. Like, obviously, he was going through a lot. I think mentally, I don't think that he was fully. I don't think he ever really fully grappled with how he was received in BB20, and I feel like he went into this season with a lot of apprehension about his perception and his image. And I think that his heart is in the right place most of the time, but I just think that his actions are just like, oh, what are you doing, bro? Like, this is you think you're doing it, but you're not doing it right now. And so, yeah, BB22 was definitely rough. I rooted for him most of the time. He made it very hard towards the end. And I feel like he went out like the wounded bird that he so successfully portrays a lot of the time. Yeah, not his best showing. It definitely felt like there was so much more for him to like give, but he just wasn't feeling it. He wasn't feeling it, and it showed for sure.
Yeah, I mean, unless this matchup is, another heavy hitter, which would be a hell of a time for all of us. And if Tyler does go through here, I feel like that BB22 dynamic is going to come into play in a big way in his later round matchups, should he be able to make it that far, which, by all accounts, you would think, given the panel, that he's on his way there. But look, again, BB20, no denying that this man was incredible in that season. And when you look at the final vote, and when you think back to like the way that Bailey talked about him, especially in BB22, being like, yeah, I got the jury bitter against him. Absolutely. Whether or not it was entirely on her, or, a combination of all of the 5 votes that went against him, of being people that just weren't super thrilled on the idea of him being their winner, despite probably agreeing that he still played well, amongst a group of strong players that came together and they dominated the game in the way that they did. You can obviously look back to like the first couple of weeks of BB20, watching him completely, dominate, not just with JC, but with Sam, with Caitlyn, and then having this dominant alliance on top of it. You don't get that kind of gameplay in most seasons. You don't get that kind of player in most seasons. So there's a lot of good stuff on his resume. It does take a dip for me in 22. On a personal level, I can't deny, on a personal level, just watching him do what he does with Bailey and Devon, and promise them that he, offer to leave to them, and then ends up not actually leaving, and they had hope for a minute when they did not have hope anywhere else in that season, by that point in the game especially, and then for him to not actually go through because Christmas wouldn't put him on the block or whatever the hell was going on there. It's frustrating, but it's still Tyler, and he's still really good at this game when he clocks in.
It was just completely unnecessary, It just felt like again, I understood where his heart and where his mind was, but I feel like he was doing the utmost trying to prove himself as an ally in that situation. And sometimes being an ally doesn't mean doing the utmost. Sometimes it just means being there, being an ear, listening, and appreciating and accepting someone else's experience. It doesn't mean that you have to go out of your way to be self-sacrificial, because then it comes off as extremely contrived and extremely try hard. And it was very unfortunate. I was very disappointed. It was just ugh, what are you doing? Especially in the midst of everything that was going on in 2020. It was just nah, honey, no.
Yeah, exactly. And a little performative, and it just felt icky, right? It just kind of had a little bit of an icky feeling to it. That being said, it is one moment in sort of this cavalcade of really positive things. I mean, I even forget how close the vote was. The fact that he only lost by 1 vote. I mean, I think that speaks for itself. The fact that he won AFP, obviously, Amon, that counts for you. So, we'll add that to the tally. And also, don't forget, he appeared on TKO, Total Knockout. I don't know if you guys remember that.
I forgot about that.
Where everybody was like, how is he on the show? Because isn't he in the Big Brother? Wasn't that the whole thing?
Yes.
Was it that, or was it Candy Crush?
No, that was Paul and Devon on Candy Crush. Or was he on Candy Crush too? Were there 2 seasons of that?
I don't know if he was on Candy Crush, but it was all of that was happening around the same time of that joke being made of how are they doing both things? It was all happening.
He was on TKO, Total Knockout, honey.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, look, I totally fear whomsoever is going to go up against Tyler, because he's such a heavy hitter. 2 seasons, nearly won, probably should have won. There's just a lot to say about him.
Yeah, he's made his way over to the challenge as well. Anybody that has seen him over on the Challenge USA 2 was a worthwhile showing for him there, up against a field of very strong challenge competitors. 22 is the one that really sticks out in my mind, because it's so recent and because there's more to nitpick in that rather than 20. Because again, I don't need to argue his case for 20. We all know that was really good, but 22, I just think back to he was working with Christmas really tightly, and then had David just kind of as a hanger-oner, where nobody knew what to do with David. Memphis was pushing David out of the house, and Tyler was like, no, I'm going to keep this guy and try to make something happen. So he was trying there,
David
but
effed it up.
Cody's power structure was just so tough to break through to the point where Tyler ends up going out in 6th place because it's like, well, of course, Cody, Memphis, Enzo, like, of course they're going to take the shot if they have the opportunity to. And Tyler wasn't able to build up anything strong enough at that point to overtake it. And the gamesmanship between that group at the end was just so like, bro, you got me. It's fine. You know, he like makes his best pitches and it's just like, what am I going to do? But like we said, it's still Tyler. So.
Still Tyler. Definitely not boring Tyler.
Good old crispy wig.
Definitely not. I'm scared.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah, I was not expecting that to be like right off the gate.
And the first spin of the night.
It's so much better for like nerves when the big name comes up second, because when the big name comes up first, it's like, well, what if Dan comes up? I don't, like what?
Oh my God,
if...
I'm not
Matt,
ready.
You better not be rigging. If Dan comes up or Derek comes up, I'm quitting the podcast immediately.
We have a scientist on the call with us. They can that can tell you that this wheel is not riggable. I think that's what Liana studies. So
all the science in the world is to the contrary, and I will still blame you.
Oh God,
let's rip the Band-Aid off, spin this wheel, and find out who Tyler Crispen's opponent is going to be. Amon has his face covered by his hands.
I can't do it.
And his opponent is going to be.
What is it? Who is it?
Oh, this is crazy.
Oh my God, no! Who is it?
This is crazy.
No!
Will Kirby.
Talk about BB 22.
audio only listeners. Sorry, I was just pranking him on because he still wasn't looking at the camera. Enzo Palumbo.
Yeah.
Holy hell.
Yep.
Ooh.
All right. Come on, Mayo Nipple Factory. Let's go.
We are really pulling out all the stops. These are like
so I was actually just going to mention a statistic about BB22 has so far of every season the most players already advancing to the next round. 7 people that were on the BB22 cast are already going through to the next round, and only 1 person on that cast is not, and that's Kaser. We almost had, well, now we are going to for sure have 1 more added to the going through, but also 1 added to the not going through for your stat nerds out there. Amon, tell us about Enzo.
Okay. Enzo in BB12, Enzo became well known for his use of his moniker, the Meow Meow, and was the founding member of the Brigade. He ultimately placed 3rd after having cast the sole vote to evict him. In BB22, Enzo found himself as an affiliate of the committee. He was particularly close with Cody and Memphis. He overall made safe moves, nominating obvious target Kaser, and also keeping Nicole F over David in Final 8. He made it to the Final 3 without being nominated, and after Cody won the Final HOH, he brought Enzo to the Final 2. Enzo's subtle game wasn't respected for Cody's dominant and aggressive game, and he gave poor answers to the jury questions. This caused him to finish second to Cody in a unanimous 9-0 vote, making Enzo the second ever house guest to receive 0 jury votes after Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
This could be a round 5 matchup. These 2.
Oh, yeah.
And it's here in round 1.
I mean, you're looking at people who played almost an equal number of days, almost had, similar placements, right? I mean, you're talking about, both ended up being runners up, slightly different, outcomes in terms of the votes there. Because it was, I think you had 154 days for Tyler and 160 for Enzo. Like these, and also played BB22. Like this is actually, I have my gut where I'm leaning, but this is a tight matchup.
Yeah, this is a little tougher than I thought it would be. Only because like both players have been in like such strong power positions in their first showing, and their second showings were a little less satisfactory, but Enzo still outperformed Tyler using a lot of the same strategies that he used in BB12. So I don't know. What I think Enzo has going for him is obviously like his social charm. He's able to disarm people. He's able to appear as unassuming as possible, even though he's like one of the main people in conversations about who needs to be going home, what the progression of the game should be looking like. He seems to get away with it all the time. He's never nominated. Like, he has great relationships with almost everybody. It's just when it comes to like that killer instinct, especially for BB22, he always takes the safe route, which in a way you can't blame him for because he does well. But it's like, imagine some of these people that you could have taken out might have been the difference between you actually winning as opposed to just getting to the end. So Enzo, I think he's a solid player. I just think that he needs like a little extra like dash of hot sauce in his game, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, he's just,
which is funny because he doesn't need that like in his personality by any means. This guy is a hell of a character, a hell of a personality in that house. And I agree. I think that that's kind of what can often make him come across as not the most obvious mastermind type of game player that, you know, maybe the other people he's playing with get the perception of, because he's just Enzo. He's this goofy guy. He's just, you know, having fun in there, and he's just, you know, doing whatever he's doing, man. Like, you know, just horrible Enzo impression, but that's okay. Just, you know, he's very social. He's very likable, and just somehow, despite the fact that I think he goes to the final three in every season he plays 100 times over, I think he still is often going to have that perception of not being taken super seriously for whatever reason that is. I don't know that I can completely dissect it in this moment, but like when you think to the Big Brother 12 final three, if Enzo had wound up in one of those chairs instead, I don't think he beats Hayden, and I don't know about Lane. I don't know if either one of you guys you know, feel strongly about how that would go. I feel like, you know, especially at that point, you have like Brittany in the jury advocating for Lane. I don't know. I wasn't there. I can't say. But in 22, I mean, we literally see him go to the end with the other strongest player of the season. You have like Cody, who is probably the strongest, most well-rounded player of that season. But also when we get to Cody, we'll discuss, was there pre-gaming involved there? You know, was there anything, other factors that contributed to him being so successful in that season, where Enzo, I don't think was involved in that. Obviously very easily could have, and we just don't know. I'm sure that they had met plenty of times before that season. They're both New Jersey guys, but I think Enzo just has the natural ability in a way that, you know, even if he just walked into that season without, you know, at the very last second, if he was the alternate that got dropped in, not thinking he was going to have a chance to show up, but then did, I think he still does really well. This is tough.
This is tough. I mean, Enzo's social game to me is such a double-edged sword, because I think one of the reasons why he's able to make it so deep is because he's just this goofy social guy. But at the same time, that ability to get him deep then also doesn't help him in the final two when you're making an argument of like, oh, I wasn't just always that goofy social guy. I was making active strategic decisions, because the perception was like, no, you were just there for the ride. And that is such a challenging thing to fight against. So I totally echo the idea that, look, Enzo, he and also can interact with seemingly anybody. Like, Enzo really does have this really great social game. And so I think that benefits him. But he, especially even in my own head, he's just that goofy guy. Like, I'm trying to remember, like, okay, what strategic decisions did Enzo make? Because it just didn't stick in my head. I remember him for having the goofy stories and talking about sending his feet pics to people. Like, those are the things I remember about Enzo, right? I don't remember all the strategic things he may have done.
I feel like when we watched his final two speech in BB22, I feel like I remember being like, damn, like you're not like exemplifying as much of the presence that you really did have in the game. Like, I feel like he definitely, you know, like as frustrating as it was to see certain players become at risk, and to see certain members of the committee become at risk, specifically Nicole, and deciding not to evict Nicole, I was like, damn, like you're really shooting yourself in the foot here. Like, you need to take her out. He didn't do it, and he still makes it to the end. And I think that he, again, is just one of those people that gets along with everybody to the point where it's like, I feel like a lot of his relationships were just like surface, with the exception of Cody. I feel like Cody was the only one where he was really able to get like deep with, and that's why Cody ended up taking him to the final two over Nicole. but I also feel like in the same, like with the brigade, it was all meow meow this, meow meow that. Yet at the end, when it really mattered, who was going to take him to the final two, Hayden didn't take him. So it's just like, I feel like, yes, there was like a lot of like charisma there, but I don't think that it always brings him through. But it's enough to get him by, which is still leagues better than some of the worst strategic people that we've seen on the show. So it's like, you know, he is the exemplification of like Big Brother is a social game first,
yes,
strategy second. So
it's so tough because his game is tied into the concept of working with a group. Like he needs the brigade to, you know, have that loyalty with those guys. He needs the committee to have that loyalty with Cody where they locked in and you believed it from day one. They believed it within each other. And because of his, like, you know, because of the same perception that makes him lose the game, I guess you could say, is the same reason that people agree to work with him from day one and are down to go all the way to the end, because you just trust and believe in him. And maybe you don't take him seriously as your ally, but you're like, he's going to be loyal, especially after what he does in 12. You go to 22, you know, he's going to be loyal. If he comes back for 27, you know, you can work with Enzo because he's loyal to his people all the way to the end. And look, you didn't even get jury votes last time. So, you know, what's the problem there?
I felt so bad during his speech and they were laughing and he was like, oh, they're laughing at me, bro. They're laughing at me. I was like, oh no.
Oh my God. I forgot that happened. Yeah. That was really,
and on one hand, it's like, are they laughing at you because, you know, everybody likes you and you're an entertaining person every time that you open your mouth? Or are they just not taking you seriously in the game? He just, again, because he works with these groups, it's hard for him to distinguish what he did in his own game, where Tyler getting the 4 votes that he does obviously can make a case for like him getting out Brett, him targeting Brett there, and him controlling a lot of what, again, those people like a Sam, JC, or Caitlyn were doing within the game because he had their ear, where Enzo has all of his allies' ears, but they go back and forth a lot. And I don't know that Enzo is ever really going to push his way over anybody else if the group comes together and decides what the group is going to do. This is wild. Again, this feels like a round 5, round 6 matchup. And we're having it here now in round 1. I don't like it. I like it because it's a fun conversation, but I don't like it.
Gotta do it. Gotta do it.
We gotta do it. This is really tough. Liana, you made a great point, of course, about the days played. They have very similar amounts of experience. I think Tyler certainly has the edge as far as comp ability is concerned. Tyler's got much more of that going. Enzo, not a slouch, 2 HOHs, 2 vetoes. And overall average placement, Enzo's got that locked down.
Yeah, but I mean, but only by a little bit, right? Like if you're talking the grand scheme, because I think he plays 3rd versus Tyler's 6th, right? But and then
he's
both
got 2 and second and 3rd, and then a second and 6th. So
yeah, so okay, I'll say for me. Well, maybe Amon should go first.
I think Amon should go
first. We know
first.
where Amon is going to
go. I appreciate that.
Yeah, let's make some good TV.
Yeah.
No, why are you debating? I like Amon trying to pretend like I'm not going to pick Tyler.
I know it's funny though, because if anyone was going to just randomly throw out an Enzo vote here, like when you would think it's
that's true. Amon could do it.
Okay, I think I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and give it to Tyler. I just think that
the smile on this man's face.
If we're leave me alone. I just think that you know, if I'm comparing their first showings, I think that just like the stranglehold that Tyler had on BB20 is just one of the best games that we've ever seen. You know, he was in the conversation for one of the best people to never win for a reason. And I think that you can say the same about Enzo. I think that for all intents and purposes, I credit him for creating the Brigade Alliance. Now, was it, you know, all him in terms of execution? No, not quite. But, you know, it's still his brainchild. It's still his legacy. So I think that you can never take that away from Enzo. But I think, you know, like I said before, I think it's a matter of just like taking your foot off the gas. Whereas Tyler, I feel like, had his foot on the gas for a much longer period of time. And then you see in BB22 that he sort of like that's when I feel like he plays more of an Enzo game in BB22. And Enzo out Enzos him in BB22. So, but I think that in terms of skill level, I'm going to go ahead and give it to Tyler, even though this was a much tougher matchup. And I'm actually very sad to see Enzo go because I think there's so much more to talk about with his game. So
I think if you're looking at like the top, what the consensus top ranked Big Brother players would be, if you were looking at, say, the top 50 and you're like worried about us picking a name that was in the top 5 or top 10, I think Enzo probably comes up in the conversation in the top like 20, 30, 40, of just like names that you would be afraid to have go up against somebody that you think you expect to go through or you want to go through. So this really was a lot closer of a matchup and still could be than was maybe expected. I don't know. Liana, do you want me to go next or do you want to go next? I'll leave it to you.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, look, I think we all made some compelling arguments both ways. And I think that I was actually surprised at how close of a matchup this was, because when I saw Tyler's name, it was like, okay, well, Tyler's obviously going through. But I think you have to look at everything that Enzo has done throughout his Big Brother career. And it's amazing. I mean, it really is, right? Like he is, I think, in that top 50 category of Big Brother players. But I am also going to have to give it to Tyler. For me, it boils down to, if they are thrown in a Big Brother house, who do I think has a higher likelihood of winning? And it's Tyler. I think Enzo has a higher likelihood of making it deep, but I think Tyler has a higher likelihood of winning.
Understood and agreed. I think by all accounts, if it really came down to it, I would have cast a vote for Tyler, but because there are 2 votes for Tyler and he's going through, I feel like I haven't actually done any like true pity votes throughout this process, but I'm going to do one here for Enzo and just throw him a bone. Well, maybe not a bone. He's a cat, not a dog, but you know what I mean. And just acknowledge that this man is very good at surviving in Big Brother. And, all it needs is like a little bit of a tune up in his game to get to that point where like he got to the end twice and to the very end once, and just a little bit more of like, again, fine tuning to be able to get those votes to go his way and walk away with the prize, because he's got so many natural skills for this game. And I think he could do it.
I just think, again, like, I think it's just it's surface level with a lot of his relationships. Whereas with Tyler, even though it puts him in a much more precarious position, everyone was like extremely betrayed because they were like, I thought I was closer than that. Whereas with Enzo, it's like everybody likes you, but they recognize your game for what it is, and it doesn't hold up to people that are in the final 2 with him or in the final 3 with him. So yeah, I agree with that. I think if he just were to buckle down and really create a deeper bond with his castmates, I think that he would be A1 for sure.
I do want you to think about what you've done, Amon, because you sent Jessica to this battle back vote, and now Enzo's going there as well.
Okay, well, it was going to be Enzo or Tyler, so.
Well, I'm thinking I want you to think about what you did to Jessica, not what you're doing here to Enzo. Look, Tucker would have been just as tough. I mean, like, if you don't think Tucker's getting some votes in that battle back vote versus whoever, you're mistaken. So let's get going here on our second matchup. That was intense. Maybe we'll get 2 like pre-merge or pre-jury.
Yeah, I need something light now.
The next name up for discussion here today is going to be.
Oh my God, no!
Whitney!
It's Whitney.
We're back to our stomping grounds, Liana.
Wow, that's beautiful, guys. Oh,
wow. It comes full wheel.
That is incredible. I mean, again, I had BBOTT on the mind, not for the right reasons this past week, but I'm happy to talk about it in terms of what happened in the game here today. Whitney Hogg, Big Brother OTT, back coming up on the wheel for the first time since an early episode. We pulled Danielle Lickby in episode 1, and then Scott Dennis a couple episodes later. Nobody since.
All right, Whitney found herself forming close bonds with Monty, Alex, and Morgan. She later joined the all-female alliance, the Ball Smashers, which saw success for several weeks. After forming a bond with Justin and fearing that she was at the bottom of the Ball Smashers, she betrayed them right before the double. She and Justin were nominated by Danielle right after Alex's eviction. When when Morgan and Shelby were saved by Morgan's care package, Daniel and Jason decided to stick with their alliance, and Whitney was evicted in a 3-2 tiebreaker vote.
You know, it's funny because we were just talking about maybe in 2026 having a celebratory dinner.
Yeah, celebratory dinner. Yes.
So that would be pretty good timing.
Oh my gosh.
Go ahead, Liana.
No, I mean, this is so interesting because, this was the first time I think I really, we really analyzed Big Brother. Yeah, I don't know. Like I being put into the podcast, and I'm gonna, okay, really think about everything. But Whitney being the one drawn is very funny to me because, probably not the least strategic. One of the, least strategic players, obviously is part of the Ball Smashers, but it felt like, the Willett sisters were obviously driving that as long as Shelby. So Whitney sort of felt like the other one who was part of that group. But it is a joy to see someone from BBOTT pop up on the wheel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, I appreciated her activeness in trying to find herself a better position. I mean, were we finding that very often in BBOTT? It was one side against the other, and you have this one person that's like, I'm on the bottom over here. I'm gonna go have a celebratory dinner over there.
The switch up from the fan, it was crazy. Because it was like F the Ball Smashers. Well, if you were on that side of things, at least, you couldn't stand any of those girls. And then as soon as Whitney was like, you know what, I might need to, it's looking a little bleak for me, I might need to flip. Everyone was like, yes, Whitney never dissed. We love you. Yeah, it was crazy. But I think that she made the right choice. I do. I think that they got lucky with the way that the competition sort of ended up shaking out when she had to go. But I don't think that she was wrong in where she was placing herself. I think that, yeah, she definitely was not. She was going to be the first one to go. And it is never too early to shake up an alliance that you are at the bottom of. Fix it. I do think that there might have been a cleaner way to do it, because she ends up, that starts that big argument in the backyard where her entire game gets exposed. So do you really feel like even if you are flipping over to Jason and Danielle that you're going to be getting in good with them? It's not going to happen, sis. So I do think that, yeah, it was a little messy, but I don't hate the move at all. So
and for those that need the exact reminder like me of how because I remember that this went, it went very poorly for her because of the game twist, because of the mechanics of the game and the care packages that were being dropped, which is why it blew up in her face as quickly as it did, where otherwise maybe it wouldn't have. So in the week that she goes out, it's on the second half of week 6, Danielle wins HOH, puts up Justin and Whitney. Now Morgan is still in the house, Shelby's still in the house. So you would think that they would have gone up or gone out this week, but Morgan wins the double eviction veto. That was like a care package from America, which means that once the nominations were going to be made, they would have had to pull themselves off the block anyway, right? In some capacity, Morgan and Shelby were both going to be safe. And so Danielle had to look at the next available people to put up and go home. And Whitney, last in, first out, unfortunately, when it comes to that side of the house. And she's done. She's done for. So
yeah, it's also tough to play. I mean, not that BBOTT was so incredibly drastically different from a regular Big Brother season, at least from a mechanics perspective. But I could imagine being in that house also being it would just feel different. You know what I mean? This is definitely a sort of a different kind of season. And so to have at least the wherewithal to sort of recognize your position and want to take some effort into it. Now, obviously I would have loved to have seen something a little bit sooner, but once she did figure it out, she was willing to, to try to make a move. And then ultimately, it just didn't work out with America's Care Package.
Yeah.
But the moments we got along the way
Beauty.
really contributed to making Big Brother over the top, the spectacle that it was. Like, it's funny because this happens so deep into the game, week 6. I'm just like, I recently rewatched and I was going back thinking, like, when does the celebratory dinner happen? Like, it's taking forever.
A celebratory dinner.
And when it turns up, when Whitney gets when she turns against her ball smashers and they are ready to
Morgan was so pissed. She was like, did you hear what she said?
So mad.
she storms downstairs and she says, what are we celebrating?
Baby OTT was a mess. Oh my
BB
God,
OTT was great. I will advocate for BB
What did
OTT.
Whitney say? She was just like, oh, we're celebrating Justin's HOH win.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was. I was like, oh, why are we celebrating that?
Woo.
Well,
man.
I guess this one not as much anticipation for who's going to come up next. But
who knows? It might be a close battle. We just
really
don't know.
Yeah.
You ready to find out?
Yes. Let's do it.
Spin this wheel.
I feel like we need another BBOTT to distract from certain things again.
But
But we don't have to talk about it.
Up next.
I did.
Whitney's
I remember though.
competition.
I had on my calendar like all the notifications to watch everything. It was so fun.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no!
Wow. Okay.
Now, this is the exact type of matchup that we needed after the first one we had.
These have been surprisingly equal matchups so far.
Yeah, honestly.
For those not watching along here on YouTube, up next from Big Brother 24, it is Joseph Pooch Pucciarelli.
Turner and Pooch, baby. All right, Pooch. Having won the backstage boss, Pooch started out in a wait. What?
No, I just remember it's bringing back all these memories. Like, I have not thought about the backstage boss twist because I remember that BB24 premiere being such a hot mess.
It was.
Okay,
It
so
was.
fun. Sorry, Amon.
Yeah, sure. No, you're fine. It's just that I couldn't see you guys because I was reading. So I was like, wait, what happened? Did I miss something? Okay. Pooch, having won the backstage boss, Pooch started out in a relatively comfortable position as he was safe and he was able to build great relationships with most of the men in the house. However, his game started to crumble on the second week when he made a strategic error of volunteering to be the pawn so that house target Taylor could be finally out of the house. Because his alliance mates Daniel and Kyle leaked the existence of the alliance to some of the girls in the house, the girls decided to shift the target and evicted Pooch by a unanimous vote of 12-0.
And then from that on, I feel like people have talked about you just don't want to get pooched
Don't get
early on in the
pooched.
game.
Don't want to get pooched. Don't want to get pooched.
Pawns go home to
Like,
pooches
I'm sure
go
plenty
home.
of people want to get pooched, but not like that, you know.
Not in that way.
Yeah, I remember this week being so euphoric for me and a lot of other people because it was like, oh damn, like Taylor is in a bad spot yet again, but here is someone that just volunteered themselves. And not only did they volunteer themselves, but their own alliance members leaked the fact that there's a lot going on with his. I was like, again, BB24, you cannot write the narrative that Taylor Hale has for like what, like she should have gone home again, and yet they did everything wrong in order for Pooch to go home.
I mean, I remember especially watching feeds and thinking like, look, I think Pooch could be a funny character, but Pooch needs to go so Taylor can stay. Like it just, especially after all the treatment that Taylor was receiving, I was 100% on the, I'm sorry, but Pooch needs to go bandwagon. Like I understand this man volunteered. That would be some pretty funny karmic justice, especially with his own alliance outing everything. I mean, technically he was the first person evicted from BB24 as well. That also is part of the legacy. So like not only did he go up, but then volunteered to go up, but then also was the first person evicted and saved Taylor, who ends up winning. Like it's just Pooch is a necessary part of the BB24 story. A small part, but a necessary part.
Yes.
there's going to be so many players that come up along the way here of people that volunteered themselves to go up and, or people that just were a pawn that went home, whether they did or didn't volunteer. And it's like a very obvious, crucial error in Big Brother that many, have been pooched on, their seasons for. It's an interesting thought experiment though to talk about what would happen, what would have happened, what did we see in this man's 16 days in the game that would have made us think, well, if he had one extra brain cell to think to not volunteer to go up as a pawn, would he have been able to make something happen in the game? I feel like this man comes in with a social game that's solid enough, and maybe with a month in the game, maybe he makes connections that are a little bit stronger to the point where he becomes an essential piece for more of their games, where you saw, Turner and Pooch. I feel like Joseph as well was also just kind of like eyeing him as a potential ally. There could have been avenues for him to go deeper into the game, but when you're 16 days in and you're on the block for half of them because you volunteered, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah. I just think that he had a sort of like overinflated sense of power in the game, which in his defense, however small it may be, everyone was smiling in his face, so he didn't really have a lot of indicators as to what was eventually going to happen. But I just think if you are in a position where you feel comfortable volunteering, then you shouldn't volunteer. Like that's just rule number one. Like, come on. It just he clearly was someone who didn't spend a lot of time watching the show and learning the game before putting himself in the situation. So
I was going to check his age. He was young, 24. Okay. Not the youngest we see on the show, but on the younger side of things, 24 on BB24. So again, I wonder, like, a couple of years of experience, could that or a couple of years of life experience, could that do him a little bit better? Because, like, I don't know, is this not like somewhat baby Enzo vibes? Like, I could see it.
No, look, I think that was my perception of Pooch going into the season. That was, okay, here's kind of this like funny, potentially charismatic guy. Like, let's see what happens. But I don't know. It's so difficult to say. Like, okay, you can prognosticate that he's going to do well with time and coming back on the season. But the facts are the facts. The man nominated himself and got himself voted out first. Like, pooching yourself is a thing for a reason.
You got pooched.
Got pooched.
This is a hell of a matchup, team.
Pooch
we have a
versus
decision.
Whitney.
We have a decision to make here between two of the Big Brother goats. As we did in the first matchup, we do it again here. It is Big Brother over the top, Whitney versus Big Brother 24's Pooch. Liana, you want to start this one?
Yeah, I'll start this one off. When Whitney comes up, I go, oh God, there's no way she's making out. But she's making it for me. I'm giving my vote to Whitney. I think that if you put up Pooch next to Whitney, I think while both I think are very charismatic, and Whitney was such a lovable character. I mean, Ball Smashers late night crew sort of like divided. But she was still very affable, very friendly, still had enough sense to not nominate herself. So we're going to put that in her favor. So I think I ultimately have to give it to Whitney here with all of Pooch's pooching.
Yeah, he screwed the Pooch here. I think Whitney is a much better player. I think that she makes it far against him every time. I think that she is understated, and one of the reasons as to why she went out was because of the twist, and not necessarily because of anything that she did. She flipped when she had to flip, and Pooch nominated himself when he didn't have to. So there we go.
Yeah, what a late night jamboree.
Make it 3 for 3 or 3 for 3-0 here, where Whitney's going to go through to the next round. I love it. BBOTT having as much representation in round 2 and beyond as possible is my happy place.
No pity vote for Pooch.
No pity vote for Pooch.
Okay.
I do think that there's a world where, he could have had a lot of potential, but to face the facts in front of us here, like you said, Liana, to be pooched is a thing. He did not originate the concept of volunteering to go up and go out, but in terms of the way it happened for himself, it happens to him again. Whitney did something to attempt to put herself in a better position, and the game mechanics end up, screwing her over a bit there. Not that I think she was a prime candidate to go on and win, but showing that you're trying is a lot more than volunteering to go on the block. So Pooch evicted from the bracket. Whitney moving on as we pull up the wheel
Whitney.
for one final matchup here today. And I guess without further ado, let's spin that wheel.
Let's do it. Who's it gonna be?
Who's it gonna be?
2 more players to be pulled here today. And we are going to get things started with, I see a BBOTT name. Oh, it's not that though.
Up.
Back to 20 though. Rachel Swindler.
Okay.
Just like a recent trend, like the early Big Brother seasons have just not been showing up lately. Maybe to manifest that a little bit for the final pick of the day, but they've been just hiding. I mean, they're on the wheel here. They're hiding.
Oh my God, what's wrong with the wheel?
What is wrong?
And
with the
round
wheel?
1 is about to be, throwback season. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Rachel
Swindler is
a loyal member of Level 6. Rachel managed to lay low. Once Bailey won HOH during week 5, her game was put in jeopardy when Bailey nominated her as a pawn against ally Brett. Bailey told Rachel about her identity theft power and that Tyler would only use the POV if Angela was the replacement nominee. Thinking that Tyler was turning against their alliance, Rachel told Angela about what Bailey told her. Angela relayed this information to the rest of Level 6, who would begin to view Rachel as erratic. The remainder of Level 6 decided to blindside her by a vote of 5-4.
Rachel Swindler. I feel like she just suffers from like her alliance being so strong, like going that deep into the game with 6 strong players. Like imagine doing that. Like it's bad enough when the brigade has 4 strong players going deep into the game, and eventually of course they're going to cut one of them out, but like to go to the jury phase with all 6, I mean, Winston's gone by now, but to even go with 5 feels like a lot. So at the time that Rachel goes, it's like the joy on their faces that they're losing somebody who could have been a threat to them down the line is why she comes out saying, what's wrong with Angela?
I mean, I remember thinking I really liked Rachel, at least from what I'm remembering from the pre-jury of BB20. I remember really liking her. I mean, I do remember at least the edit, like with her erratic behavior, trying to portray her erratic behavior. But I always remember feeling like I feel like she got screwed over.
Yeah.
Like that's my takeaway from Rachel's eviction. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but at least that's what I remember.
Yeah, I felt the same way. It did sort of like, as much as I wanted this, we loved the back and forth of BB20, right? So I was glad to see that somebody from Level 6 was going to go home after Caitlyn had gone home the week prior. So I'm sitting here thinking, great, but also I do feel like your alliance is doing the utmost right now, and I felt like them like really believing that Rachel was going against them when she was really just trying to just like kind of like look out for herself was like, I felt a little bit bad for it. But at the same time, maybe you don't need to be as vocal with Bailey as you are. Like, I know that you're trying to play both sides, but like, you kind of have to know. Well, actually, no, I guess that kind of just speaks to how good of a player Tyler was, because like, how was she supposed to know that like they were going to be so close and they were going to be talking about like stuff that Level 6 was going to be doing? So it was just like, I think that she sort of just had a rough go of it. And I think that all of Level 6 was just like ready to throw anybody to the wolves as long as it kept their core group intact. So
yeah, exactly. It did feel like, I mean, and Winston, I think to a certain extent as well, it was like, oh, well, these are the people that we just have to lose, and we're kind of fine with that. And I feel like it is almost better to move forward with people that you do feel super comfortable with, even if it's a smaller group.
Yeah.
Because then, you know, and especially, I mean, given to all of Tyler's other relationships as well, and being able to pull the wool over the eyes of Faute, it seemed like that was a fine thing to be able to lose Angela in the process, or Rachel in the process, I mean.
They could have lost Angela too, but that
Yeah,
probably
well,
wouldn't have
furniture.
bowed as well to their game. Yeah, not like Rachel. It's like to be Rachel. I think is somebody who came into the game very aware of how the game worked. I think she was a very big fan. So to come in as intelligent in terms of gameplay as Rachel is, or as many people do come in, I don't know. I think like a Shannon Elizabeth type for something that I recently just rewatched. It's like when you come in with so much game knowledge and you're so ready to play the game, like you have to also come in being aware of how to downplay that a little bit and not show everybody how smart you are and how much of a gamer you can be. And that's not like exactly what does her in, but I think the perception of her was pretty accurate by the point that she goes, of people just knowing that she could be a big threat and knowing that, you know, she's not easily controllable, which not saying you have to be easily, you have to be the one controlling, or you have to not come off as not controllable to a group of strong players as strong as level 6 was. So that was, you know, it's funny because, you know, I don't know, you see like a strong player go into a weak cast and sometimes you're like, well, the weak cast is almost worse to play with because they're so unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen. But then you see a player like Rachel who goes into a strong cast, at least as far as her allies were concerned. And it also still doesn't work out in that circumstance because you have to balance everything so precariously.
I think her energy didn't really match the vibe of level 6 a lot of the time. And I feel like I remember seeing commentary during the season about how Rachel probably would have fared better if she were on the other side of the house, even though Falte sucked ass. It just felt like her personality, at least, sort of seemed like it would have like meshed better with that side of the house, because everyone in level 6 is like sort of like on the low key side, like Angela, Casey, even Tyler, like they're just like down here, whereas Rachel really was, she's a super fan.
She's a performer.
And she's a performer. She's a Vegas performer. Like she was here to make noise, and I think, you know, her ending up on the block as a pawn really just was not good for her mental. So
and I think that's why she comes out of the game being so close to Caitlyn, because the two of them, these big balls of energy, just were meant to come together in the game, but that would have, you know, been almost as bad.
too much energy.
Well,
so, I think there's a universe where Rachel goes on another season and does quite well, right? Like, I think that we're talking about a player who I think at her core has the skill set that could be necessary to at least, you know, perform better than what we saw in BB20. So she was a casting alternate for BB19. And I would have been very curious to see what would have happened with her in that season, for example. But we do have to look at the facts of essentially what happened in BB20. And she was just up against a really strong cast. And, you know, what else is there to say about it?
Whose spot does she take in 19? Christmas? Like,
she claims to be an alternative for Jessica.
Oh, I can see
Which
that.
then Cody and Jessica, did they become a thing? No, you know.
Oh boy. Added them to my block list lately. Well, she ended up where she ended up, and one of the most top, I don't know, 20 most iconic exits in Big Brother history. Again, asking Julie, what's wrong with Angela?
What's
I'm
wrong
sure.
with Angela?
Wrong with Angela? Oh, so good. Oh,
Nothing else. That phrase must have made her some money on Cameo, on T-shirts, on everywhere. So
I love. She's like, "What the? Please don't curse. Please don't." Curse.
But I mean, I still use that phrase. What's wrong with Angela? Like, so
the perfect phrase, especially recently.
Exactly. Oh my God. Honestly, yeah, that legacy lives on.
We love you, or Rachel girl. Damn.
Nice try, Mon.
That's right.
Are we ready to find the final player of the
day? Who is she up against?
Do it. Let's do it.
Rachel Swindler needs an opponent.
Wheel. I'm curious if we're going to get another close matchup.
It sadly cannot be Angela. It cannot be either Angela. Both of them have already been pulled.
Both of them are gone through. Yeah.
Let's see who's up next. It's going to be.
Oh no! Oh no!
Liana, you have had like a big name in some capacity every single time.
Exactly.
We're counting this as a big name, but we're counting this as a name.
In some
I mean,
capacity. Emphasis on
some
in some
capa-
capacity.
yes, exactly. Key in some capacity, in
Oh
some
boy.
specific word capacity. I can't
Oh
believe it.
boy. So as far as early seasons of Big Brother, yes, you will have to come back another day to hear us talk about some of those legends. Today we'll be here to talk about Big Brother 25. Technically, first boot, Luke Valentine.
Okay. Luke.
Current contestant on some other show, possibly, or did he get kicked out of
Really?
that?
Yeah, I saw that he's on some other like live feed show and he got into it with the rest of the cast. I don't know exactly for what, but I'm not sure if he's still on there, but yeah, that's
I almost don't
Oh,
want to put up
yes.
his graphic. Is it like triggering that we have to like look at this man or like,
Just
to
put a big dot over his face.
yeah.
Yeah, he was a contestant in the 3rd season of the internet reality show Fish Tank Live.
Fish Tank. That's what it was. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Is
It
he
was
still there?
one of the final
No.
acts of Big Brother Twitter before migrating over to Big Brother Blue Sky was keeping an eye on what was happening for Luke in that game.
Yeah,
I don't spoiler alert for Fish Tank Live season 3, but he was eliminated on day 5, finishing in 12th place.
Oh,
He
damn.
made it less days on that show than this show than on Big Brother.
So yeah,
Wow.
he's
5 days. He made it 8 on BB25. He
made
spent
it
5 days in a house with Suri Fields, but 5 days in a house with awful other people. Oh boy.
Wow.
Oh boy.
Oof.
I'm on
0.
speed it up. Let's go. Get this man's face off the screen.
He was
Luke.
eliminated first on Fish
He
Tank
was?
Live. Yeah. Oh lordy. Okay.
Get him
all right.
out of here.
Sorry, Amon. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. Luke, an outsider on the initial power structure, Luke was expelled from the game on day 8 following a conversation with Corey, Heisem, and Jarrett in which he used a racial slur, placing 17th. As a result of his expulsion, Luke was not invited back on finale night and removed from both the opening credits and all of Big Brother's promotional material altogether.
I was so curious what the bio was going to be. I was like, what are you even going to say about this man?
Got his ass out of there. They scrubbed his ass.
Lord.
I'm doing us all a favor and just moving that to the side. So like, okay, to have the conversation about whatever we saw in his game. My notes of Luke here in my notes are that he might have thought he was in a good spot game wise early on because he was part of the original Have-Nots alongside Corey, Jared, and I don't know, maybe somebody else. So there was like a thought, I think, early on that group was going to look out for each other, which is what led, correct me if I'm wrong, to him being in the room with them, feeling so comfortable with them as people that he says what he says, and that's when that moment happens.
Yeah, exactly. I remember this very vividly. They were in the have not room. And yeah, they were talking. And I mean, that was that group. And because this is the beginning of the game, right? I mean, we're talking 8 days in. The social structures are just beginning to form. And so it did look like he was going to be someone who, okay, well, he's not obviously like this big power player, but he's certainly in a group that's going to look out and protect and, probably a long stay for the show. But then, as Mon said, he used a racial slur and was evicted.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's just one of those things again where you have someone who clearly has gotten away with certain behavior for quite some time. Probably has certain people in his life that enables the behavior. I remember him like talking online afterwards about like how he's not racist and he has members of his family that are black, and it's like, look, is Kyle is they're all war flashbacks. Is Luke Valentine racist? I don't know. Did he engage in a racist comment? Yes. Should he have had the wherewithal to not say something like that on national television? Yes. But again, just a reminder that Big Brother is just a reflection of day-to-day people.
Yeah.
They get comfortable as fuck in that house. and their behaviors of real life are going to come out, and that's just how it happened.
He says it and starts laughing like he's at a frat house, like,
Yeah.
not with a camera in his face, and he's like, oh, oops, like oops.
And then there was so much controversy around how Jared responded as well. So it was just like, when you have, and I think that that's what like reinforced it for him as well, because that, like, again, I think I remember him talking about like how he's been around Black people and they don't give a fuck. The Black people in his life don't care, and it's like, well, that's great for those Black people. It's not good for you. So it's just it just sucks. Like, I honestly, I can't remember anything else about his game other than this, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I know he was part of that Have Not group, and I feel like there was talk of them like working together early on. And I don't know. I don't think there's much to explore here of the what could have happened if they stayed in longer game, because obviously we know how Corey and Jared's game played out amongst one another as the game went on. So I don't know that anybody would have been giving Luke the time of day. And the first twist of the season ends up having the 4 people on the block that Riley has to narrow down to 2, which saves Corey and Jared, I believe. And it ends up, of course, being Kirsten, I think, right? Was she Kirsten or Kristen? Kristen?
Kristen?
Wait, now I'm insecure about it. Kirsten.
I think it was Kirsten.
Kirsten. I think it was Kirsten. Yeah, the scientist.
It was a Kirsten, which is what made it tough because we know a Kirsten.
I think
one or the other.
I think it's like our very own Kirsten. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
No?
Because there's no
Kirsten
E in it.
too.
Well, there's no E at the beginning. Either way, the controversy was over, is she going to stay now because somebody else has been evicted here? And she was still evicted.
They sent her ass home. They sent her ass right on home.
Which like is insane in hindsight, because then we end up having 7 weeks in the middle of the season of zombies running around the house and nobody actually getting evicted, when we could have just let this other person actually stay in the game and have a fighting chance next week. But that probably would have ruined their precious little twist. So there's that. Okay, so decision time.
Big decision to be made. Big decision.
What are we gonna do? Wow. All right, I'll go first. I'll take this one. I'll bravely evict Luke. Rachel, congratulations. You're moving to round 2. Liana?
No pity vote from me either. This is a straight vote for Rachel.
I'm actually going to vote for Luke.
Oh, you're so funny.
To go home.
Do you vote to evict Luke? To be clear.
All right. Well, what a note for us to end on. We started here on such a crazy roller coaster. Well, this has been a roller coaster. Liana, I hope your picks have left you with enough of a filled enough cup to last you until the next time we can get you back on here.
Legitimately, it was just one curveball after another. I think we got a really bizarre group of picks in like the best way, right? Because if it had been like, take those 6 people and mix them all around. Imagine Tyler versus Luke, right? Like even less of a discussion probably. So I'm so happy with the matchups. I had an absolute blast. This was so fun. Thank you both for having me.
Of course. So happy to have you. Before we transition into proper plugs, let me just remind everybody what happened here. Tyler Crispen is going through to round 2. Amon can sleep peacefully for a little while now until that round 2
hater. You're
happens.
Such a hater.
Acknowledging that you're a fan. What am I doing? Enzo Palumbo at this moment in time evicted from the bracket. Again, battle back votes do come up, and if you think that is somebody who should get your votes to come back in, patreon.com/the diary room. We also are sending through Whitney Hogg from Big Brother Over the Top to the next round. Pooch has been evicted, and we closed out the show evicting Luke Valentine from Big Brother 25. That happened for Rachel Swindler to get some justice after her brutal eviction in BB20, as she's going to get another chance to fight here in round 2. And that's the story. So again, Liana, thank you so much for joining us here today. Where can people find you in any other place on the internet? Sadly, we did not get the podcast together a couple weeks ago as you were out, so Scally and I got to hop in. But how's the B&B going?
I know. Yeah, B&B is good. I was sad that I couldn't be there with you guys. But we're holding down the fort over there. Mike and I are, talking all things Survivor. We're having Peridium on as our guest this week to break down everything from whatever or whenever this comes out, we will have
Maybe last
talked
week at
about
this
it.
point.
Yeah, exactly. So listen to that. It's out. You should listen. It's going to be great. And yeah, you can follow me at Blue Sky.
Yeah.
at Lianaism. I'm at Lianaism on Blue Sky. So it's like at Lianaism.bluesky.
Yeah, what is it? Is
It's,
it BS?
I think it's just like
BSKY?
BSKY. Yeah. They don't even
Yeah.
have like the whole blue in there.
But I think if you just search Lianaism, that will
I
pop
think
up.
it should pop up. Yeah,
Look
I
for the,
literally just look
egg.
up the delay.
Yeah, look for the egg.
Yeah, look for the egg. I'm the egg. I'm the old Twitter egg.
There we go. And both of you waiting for the next season of Drag Race. Do we have any idea? Have we talked about when that's starting up again?
January, probably.
Yeah. We'll probably start getting some promo like within the next, like maybe like around Thanksgiving. We'll probably start getting some news.
Yeah, I believe it.
Liana, a running theme. We just before we got on here recorded our latest battle back results show for the patron feed. Something that's come up on the patron side of things is Amon has not watched Global, which a lot of people haven't. Global All Stars for Drag Race. And I wanted to talk about the results, but he told me not to spoil him. That was a week and a half ago. He still doesn't know what happened. Still hasn't watched.
Thank you, Liam.
But imagine how bad I want to tell him how fun that season was.
Oh my god. Okay, I'll start watching as soon as we get done recording.
I didn't watch it. I just want to talk about how it ends.
I'll watch it on
peer pressure. Peer pressure. Yeah, exactly. Throw it on a 2x. You'll be fine.
Yeah. All right. Amon, what's going on for you?
Yeah, you can follow me everywhere at Amon Adwin. I've been getting back into Twitching, so you can follow me over there. And yes, just over here, just talking all things The Diary Room. As mentioned earlier, Liana and I will be returning for season 17 of Drag Race whenever that gets announced. So I'm sure you can check us out over there in the coming months.
There we go. I just like panicked. I'm like double checking. I have all the patron votes in front of me. I'm like, I didn't miss anybody today, right? No, I did not. So if you want to cast your own vote for a player on this bracket for when their matchup comes up, as happened last week with Mari, you can do that over on patreon.com/The Diary Room. Participate in the battle bag votes, participate in the group chat. Lots of fun things happening over there. If you want to have even more to your Diary Room experience every week, it's been so much fun. And of course, I am over on the Free Agents podcast with Brian Scally talking about The Challenge and House of Villains, closing out the season of Dancing with the Stars with Sasha Joseph on RHAP on the We Know reality TV feed. And we're on Blue Sky now. So find us all over there. Find Liana with the egg picture. Find him on with regular picture. I'm on there with the same handle at Matt Ligori in the first part of the handle. And then the Diary Room, just at the Diary Room whatever comes next. So I think that's it for now. Amon, get us out of here.
All right. Thanks to Liana once again for joining us. And until next time, guys, please go to the Diary Room.